I've always loved Pokémon. Growing up in the 90s, I almost feel like it's mandatory to at least have played one of the games to completion. Coming back to them as an adult does, however, lead to the realization that they're very easy games, which is where challenge runs come in. The most popular one is probably the Nuzlocke, where you're only allowed to catch the first Pokémon on every road, and if a Pokémon faints, it's considered dead and can't be used ever again. I've seen countless videos, looked at webcomics, and read written stories about this format, but I've never fully completed my own hardcore Nuzlocke. And as such, I believe it's about time that I did. With these rules in mind, I went ahead and played through my childhood's darling, Pokémon Fire Red. Will I be able to beat this run on the first try? The game is considered fairly easy after all. Let's find out. We start off our journey by naming ourselves Malorak and calling our rival a funny name, Dingus. We gotta live up to the tradition. We also grab the potion from the PC, and then Oak promptly tells us that we aren't allowed to touch grass because we're gamers, so instead we should grab ourselves some Pokemon instead of grabbing grass. And since I'm not allowed to touch grass, I'm also not going with the grass-type Pokemon, so we go with Squirtle. We will go for a fruit and food-based theme with the name, so say hello to Blueberry. We then promptly fight Dingus's Bulbasaur, he is allowed to touch grass, and well, since we're gamers, we lose. Yeah, this is obviously boding well for the rest of the... Did Oak just call us disappointing? How rude. Despite the insults, we still help the elderly because we have a heart of gold, and we pick up the parcel from Viridian City for the old man. As a result, we of course get two things. For starters, we get the Pokédex, and we also get 5 Pokéballs. I will not use one of those, you may guess what. Okay, the Nuzlocke can finally begin, and we get a Pidgey. Pretty cool. The flying type is always useful, there's a lot of bug and grass type Pokemon in Gen 1, so we grab it, say hello to Raisin. Next up, we are going to get our next encounter just like that, and it's a Rattata. Well, that is less useful, normal types aren't the greatest, especially not the ones with such stats, but I mean, say hello to Leechy the Rattata, it does turn Hyper Fang soon. Viridian Forest, I'd love to find a Pikachu, but instead of copper, I find gold. Say hello to Kiwi the Caterpie. Now you might think, Caterpie and Metapod, isn't that useless? Well, no it's not. Butterfree is kinda silly with its Compound Eyes ability, as it can annoy the ever-loving crap out of other Pokemon, which you will see later on. But for now, you will see that Raisin can press Gust a whole lot. And as I said before, our Metapod quickly evolves into Butterfree, which will be useful later down the line. For now, it's Brock time, and for Brock, I've made up a fantastic strategy. Only a mastermind could have come up with the idea of using your Water-type Pokemon against a Rock-Ground-type Pokemon that has little defense. So I pressed Water Gun, the Geodude fainted, I pressed Water Gun, the Onix fainted. What did you expect? It's Gen 1. After Brock, we got to a whole gauntlet of fairly easy trainers, which Leechy and Kiwi made quick work of. Which means it's time for our Mount Moon encounter, and oh boy, we got ourselves a tasty one. Geodude! I love this guy. Instead of another flying type, having a rock and ground type will be fantastic for the third gym. Provided we make it there, of course, and it survives until then. So say hello to Chocolate the Geodude. And blasted our way through the mountain, grabbing all the useful items, beating up some trainers, and nabbing ourselves the Helix fossil. But not before Blueberry evolved into a Wartortle. That will be fantastic, because Wartortle stats are so much better than Squirtle's. But yeah, as I said, we're grabbing ourselves the Helix fossil for one very simple reason: Omastar has insane special attack. And also Twitch-based Pokemon. Raisin then also evolved from a Pidgey into an Italian, which is hilarious, Pidgeotto. Look at that hairdo. Dingus arrived to get his Italian bird beat up by a brown Candy Rock. The rest of his Pokemon were also fairly easy to navigate, thanks in part to the wide variety of types we already have in our party, but also because of the level cap of 21. That is until we got to his Rattata, which crit our Mankey that we caught before, almost killing it. The Karate Chop did finish the Rattata, but man, that was a close call, and doesn't bode well for the future either. We're already getting close calls and we're not even on the second gym in a very easy game. Oh boy. Then proceeded to beat up the rest of the trainers on Nugget Bridge, which for the most part was very simple thanks to Kiwi's Confusion ability and most of these guys only having poison types. And then it was time for Kiwi to learn Attract, which would turn it into the ultimate annoyer. We also got another evolution in Leechy, turning into Eradicate, which is very nice because, again, once again, the stats are just way better. And then it's time for Misty. I don't have a super straightforward solution to this, thanks to having no grass or electric types, but I figure since Blue Berry knows Bite, I have an answer for Starmie at least. Staryu I just have to beat with raw power, so I used Kiri's combo of Sleep Powder and Confusion to take it out. That was the plan at least, but how well did it go? Well, a lot better than I expected. Kiwi got a crit, which led to Misty using her super potion on the Staryu instead of using it on her Starmie, which is great. Wasting healing items is fantastic on gym leaders. And so, with a few other confusions, the Staryu goes down. As such, we went with the following strategy. Use Sleep Powder on the Starmie, swap to Blueberry, spam Bite, hoping to outdamage the Starmie, or to get a few flinches. Kiwi did get hit with a Water Pulse on its way out, which was scarier than I thought, but she took it like a champ. Misty at this point, even if the Starmie does wake up, can only command her Pokemon to use Swift, which is very weak for the special attack-oriented star, which pretty much meant that I would just get the second badge, right? And considering that we have a chocolate for the next gym, I'd say it's going pretty well. And yeah, in fact, Blueberry did just spam Bite, Starmie just kept being asleep, and even when it did wake up, it did only use Swift, which did almost nothing, netting us that second badge that I was talking about earlier. So far, so good. We also received Water Pulse, which is a great move for Blueberry, so I taught it to him right away. 60 base power and a chance to confuse will surely come in handy until we get to Surf. We then don't catch an Abra, which wakes up after a Sleep Powder and uses Teleport. Having a Psychic type would have been great, but well, it is what it is. That won't spoil my mood though. Things are going really well. I mean, what could spoil my mood, and did that guy just turn himself into a Pokemon? That ought to break the Geneva Convention or something. Okay, I'll help you. I'll keep my lips sealed to the police, but you get me a ticket to a luxurious ship so I can learn to cut small bushels of grass, alright? Cool, we got a very specific deal then. That traumatizing event, we went back to Nuzlocking, which meant grabbing an Oddish, naming it Salad, and evolving it into a Gloom. I then went to the Pokemon fan club, listened to a guy rambling about his newest hyperfixation, and grabbed a bike voucher, which I'll surely not forget or anything. I then caught a Drowsy that I called Banana, and headed into the SSN, where Dingus of course awaited us. Surely he's going to be a bigger challenge this time around, and prove his worth, right? Man, I swear, this game is so easy. I bet I'll never get into any trouble. After rubbing an old man's back, we finally unlocked the secret of how to defeat the evil shrubbery of this world, which I promptly taught Salad. It's called Cut. You gotta fight fire with fire after all. And by utilizing that newly found power, we unlocked access to the worst gym puzzle in the game, the Vermilion Gyms. It took way too much dumpster diving to get to him, but we finally did make it to the third gym leader, Lieutenant Surge. And well, considering that these Pokemon apparently helped him in the military and he fought in wars, I do wonder where he was stationed, considering that he has a low-level Voltorb whose best move against our chocolate is a static 20 damage type move, and he also has a low-level Pikachu on his team who's very simple to beat. In theory. In practice, that little bugger kept spamming Double Team. Again, and again, and again. This fight went on for way too long, even though it barely could deal any damage to me, which is why you're seeing this sped up footage right now. I took forever to hit it and finally just pressed Rock Throw out of spite, and it worked. The Pikachu went down. Which brings us to Bigger Pikachu. Yeah, this thing can only really hit us with Quick Attack, but it also does no Double Team, so this could actually become a problem. It does do 3 damage. If we just get very, very unlucky, Chocolate could actually die here, especially if we get a few crits, but gladly we hit that first dig, and the Raichu goes down, giving us the third badge. After totally forgetting that Diglett Cave was a thing before the gym, I went inside for an encounter and also to grab Flash, and used a Repel to force a Duck Trio to spawn, thinking that my newly evolved Hypno Banana could just hypnotize it, and I could easily chuck a ball at it. But the thing is, those Duck Trio will spawn at level 28 or 29 as you can see, and they have a very good attack and speed stat, which resulted in Banana almost dying. Like, a crit could have probably killed it. I might be getting a little arrogant. Nah, I'll be fine. It's called Peanuts, by the way. Wondering why I'm grabbing Flash? The reason is very simple. It magically skips Rock Tunnel. See, once we enter it, whoosh, it's over in a flash. Get it? Is that a bad moment to ask you to like the video if you're enjoying it? I bet it is, which is why I'm gonna go for it. More Nuzlockes are coming in the very near future, and another encounter is coming right now, a Growlithe, which we promptly call Chili. This will be a fantastic addition to the team, especially considering that the next gym is Grass type, but we'll get there in a minute. For now, we caught a Meowth called Vanilla. Once we do arrive in Celadon, we go into the mall, grab a Leaf Stone, and I had the urge to dedicate a little ditty to this.
Salad, the salad of power, it's salad! Yes! In their final form. The Vile Plume. Let's go.
Our team was looking mighty fine at this point, but I noticed that we could also evolve our Growlithe into an Arcanine with a Firestone from that very same mall, so I did just that. But that would mean that it only knows Ember. How do I fix that? Oh, I know, let's go gambling!
2,000 years later.
After winning it big, we are the 2% after all, we bought ourselves the Flamethrower TM, totally forgot about the amazing held items you can buy, and also bought a special surprise that will come in handy later, but you'll have to wait and see how we treat Erika around these parts first to find out what that is. And well, Erika just gives us a badge. I don't know, she was just really kind. And you know what? That really inspired me, so let's do some charity work and become 10-year-old vigilante heroes by beating up Team Rocket. And for this part, Chili kind of became the main character, and we just kind of pressed Flamethrower for quite some time, until we found the lift key, and after finding the lift key, we were pretty quickly approaching the boss of this operation, who was called Giovanni. Now, because I can't read, I didn't realize that the level cap has been raised to 43, so I fought him with a Wartortle. Which was a bit silly in hindsight, but I mean, we're just fighting an Onyx, so we can just use Water Pulse. We're fighting a Rhyhorn, we use Water Pulse, but now out comes the Kangaskhan, and out comes the issues, because that thing knows Mega Punch. Mega Punch for Kangaskhan is Stab. Doesn't have the best hit rate, but it does do a lot of damage, as you could see. And Water Pulse basically does nothing, even when we're critting. So we swapped to the Salad of Power. The Salad of Power can take a bite, and I thought to myself, I'll just sleep it and it'll be fine. We get hit by a Tail Whip, which means that the subsequent attack of a Mega Punch will hurt quite a bit. But we do hit the sleep, so now we can just use Giga Drain, and that should be fine, right? Oh, the Kangaskhan woke up. Oh, it connected with a Mega Punch. Oh, that did a lot. Okay, the Giga Drain will surely finish it, right? Like, it's so low, and No, it's not finishing it, and Salad will be dead if it stays in. So let's swap to Chili or Banana. Yeah, let's go with Chili. And, oh, it's Tail Whipping again? It could have killed us, but you know what? We will take a free win. We will take the Silph Scope, and we will move our butts over to the City of Ghosts. Should be a really easy battle, considering our water-based starter, but you don't know me yet. I'm very stupid. This Marowak almost killed multiple of my Pokemon, but by moving around all over my team, I did manage to defeat a very mediocre Pokemon that is very much on my level. As you can see, the Bone Meringue did exactly half of Blueberry's HP. I thought to myself, I can just use Water Pulse, it'll be fine, it did half. The thing's faster than me. And I still, like, took it. I could have died there, okay? So I swapped to Salad, I used the Giga Drain, and now that should be fine, right? Okay, yeah, thank Christ. This Pokemon isn't tough. This Pokemon isn't strong. Why did I struggle with this? This bodes very well for future encounters. But yeah, speaking of future encounters, we use some psychic powers to beat up some Team Rockets, and we meet the literal Mountain Fuji. He's an old guy. I always thought he was bigger, but oh well, he gives us the Pokeflute, and with this, we can catch ourselves a Snorlax, which is gonna be fantastic, because Snorlax is an absolutely overpowered Pokemon, we're calling it Curry. And since Blaine is in our future, and since I'm weirdly selective in my threat assessment, I chose to grab the Super Rod so that we can catch some water types outside of Wartortle, which is when something from the past hit me. I forgot to get the bike. And since it's been years since I've played these games outside of fan games, it took me multiple hours to find my way back to Misty's hometown to grab ourselves a two-wheeler of our own. Just so we could then skip the bike path since nothing of note happened there, so yeah, let's just go on. By entering Koga's gym, I thought that I could reach the level cap with some Pokemon after some fights, which led to a natural level up evolution of Blueberry. Having a Blastoise is gonna make life so much easier, and also they grow up so fast, don't they? I remember when it was just a small Squirtle. It's beautiful. As much as I'd love to try out Blueberry's new form, we now fight the main man himself, the Poison Boy Koga. Blueberry isn't the best matchup we have, as we do have a banana, and everyone knows bananas are great against toxins in your body. I think. We do, however, have to watch out for the annoyances and dangerous poison Pokemon bring, such as Minimize and Explosions. Gladly, our banana is a Bananazuka and straight up demolishes this gym thanks to learning Psychic. The Muk does get off a Minimize, which is a bit annoying, but for the most part this shouldn't be an issue, as Banana just hits said Psychic and kills the Muk. One coughing beam psychic later, we now find ourselves face to face with Koga's ace, a level 43 Reezing. This thing's explosion could do some real damage, but it's alright as Banana's psychic removes it from our minds. This means that we just got ourselves the 5th gym badge, and we also got a very useful TM, which is Toxic. Following this, I could really use some relaxation, so I check out the local safari gain, and I promptly thought I found a snack in the wild, but it turned out to be another psychic-type Pokémon. After checking what feels like 8 billion safari balls at it, we call ourselves an Omelette. On top of that, we also grabbed ourselves the HM Surf and the Golden Teeth, which we need to then unlock the HM for Strength. Also, Omelette evolved into Executor. This whole safari thing reminded me of how good it felt to do charity work, so being the good guy that we are, we head down to the Silph Co office building in Saffron City to liberate it from Team Rocket, just like we did in Celadon, only to meet with none other than Dingus, who apparently had a similar idea, but now just wants to fight us. So we used Chili, he uses Flamethrower on his Pidgeot, turning it into a bunch of KFC, which is very tasty, then sends out his Gyarados, so I swap to Curry. Curry then just uses Strength to overpower his oversized fish. It should kill in 2, we get hit by 2 Dragon Rages, which don't even do half, and thus finish the Gyarados. Next is the Growlithe, which I do not respect in the slightest, even through the Intimidate, so Curry stays in and just uses 2 more strengths to finish it. Next is the Alakazam, which I do respect, so I swap to Omelette, thinking I could Leech Seed and Light Screen stall it, which kinda worked for a while, but he started Calm Minding. I didn't think too much of it at first, but yeah, I just tried to stall him for a while. After a few turns, I realized that I could just paralyze it as well as I'm stalling it, so I used Stun Spore. This seemed like a good idea at the time, but it also paralyzed Omelette because of the ability Synchronize. Whoops. Thus started a very long stalling contest between the both of us, which I ultimately thought would be won by Omelette. I mean, I have Light Screen, I have Leech Seed, we're both paralyzed, I should be winning this? Except that, well, the many Calm Minds were adding up, and Omelette isn't as tanky as I thought it was special defense-wise, which resulted in him fainting. This was our first death. It made me ponder of how arrogant I was up until this point. I thought, oh yeah, level caps, sure, I'll just close in on them, it's fine. And we do finish the Alakazam with Vanilla the Persian with a bite, because the Alakazam was paralyzed, I was faster, and Persian is just super fast in general, which then brings us to the Venusaur, which I then used a Screech on for whatever reason. We got put to sleep. I swapped to Chili. The Venusaur goes for a Sweet Scent for whatever reason. That reduces our evasiveness, sure. I just clicked Flamethrower twice. The Razor Leaf does nothing. And man, even though that we won, it really doesn't feel like it. I really need to play more carefully. We also got a Lapras, I guess. With a heavy heart, we carry on as we face off against Giovanni once more. Considering that Blueberry is now a Blastoise with Surf, she carried us like crazy, even against the Kangaskhan, which priorly was an issue. She lands a crit and then a Brick Break to then close out the fight with yet another Surf. It's almost as if she told us that things would turn out just fine overall. Thanks, Blueberry. I really needed that. Especially considering our next opponent, which I was a lot more afraid of than the Silph Co building fights, who is Sabrina, the Psychic-type leader. This time I would be prepared. I bought a team of either super tanky or very fast Pokemon, if possible with moves that one-shot the Alakazams and Kadabras she has. I led with Curry, whose bulk and power should be plenty useful until we encounter this really annoying Venomoth that kept stalling me with Confusion and Hypnosis. She then also kept healing her Pokemon, even though I also had Rest. Just as a reminder, while gym leaders and traders are allowed to, we are not allowed to use in-combat healing items, so this was very annoying. We did get through this, however, and beat them off thanks to Curry's insane bulk, which leads us to yet another Alakazam setting up with Calm Mind, which I was not approving of because it reminded me of bad times. Gladly, Curry just used Strength and one-shot it because Alakazam has like a negative defense value. And thus we got 6 out of 8 badges to our name. For a first run, things are going pretty dang well if I may say so myself. And because of that, it's time to get in touch with our roots. We go back to Palatown where we use the accumulated knowledge and tools at our disposal, which is to say we surf and fish to get a Tangela and a shelter respectively from the town, and the first route on our way to Cinnabar Island, say hello to Coco and Spaghetti. After that we finally get to revive a dead meme, and a fossil at that, which is Ammonite. It evolves and makes me appreciate the fun art of Gen 3 for a bit. What a dynamic little star post guy. The following gym would be just like the last, useless over-preparation. I brought a ton of rock and water types along only for Omastar Praise Obscure to completely steal the show and defeat Blaine all on his own. Guess a 125 base special attack water rock type will do that to a monotype fire team. Regardless, we now got ourselves the 7th badge, which increases our level cap once again, but just as I wanted to go to the 8th gym and begin the final stretch of our journey, Bill asked me if I want to come to an island with him. I said yes, thinking it'd be a short intermission, maybe I can find some items that will be of use, but what actually happened is that he tasked us with giving a meteorite to a friend of his who's a huge rock nerd. I said sure, which then started a side quest of finding that guy. I had no idea about the island quests anymore, it's been years, as I said, I'm playing a lot of fan games these days, but yeah, we did find the guy eventually, and he then didn't accept the rock, he then wanted me to find his daughter. She's literally called Lastel and apparently on yet another island. Good lord, okay, I'll go find her for you. That island, however, is besieged by bikers, and dear lord, this footage is at 2000% speed. Nothing of note happened here on these islands, okay? Let's just move forward to our last match against Giovanni, alright? Considering that he's the last gym leader, you'd expect him to put up quite the fight. Coco has insane physical defense, it's evolved into a cloister, and thus is the perfect foil for this entire gym. All of his Pokemon only really use ground-type physical attacks like Earthquake, which are usually really powerful, but Coco's physical defense makes it look like they were using Scratch instead. Thus, a few serves later, we're now eligible to join the ultimate challenge, climbing Victory Road and fighting the Elite Four and finally the champion. Considering that we have exactly 0 electric types, I thought it'd be wise to nab one of those for our final leg in the journey, so I went to the power plant to add another member to our team.
A legendary bird? Oh my god, Zapdos! Oh! A legendary bird would be amazing on my team. It would be so good, especially Zapdos. I need an electric type to replace my flying type. I'm going to murder it!
Yeah, this may be my first Nuzlocke and I may be a stupid idiot, but I have omitted another rule from the beginning of the videos. I refuse to use actual legendaries. As such, our actual first encounter in here is an Electabuzz, which I call Lemon. As we enter Victory Road, we show each badge we've earned, which is such a cool touch in my opinion, and we go through the mountain, only to arrive at a conclusion of a prior story beat. Remember the secret Pokemon that would come in handy later? Yeah, that later is now. When I was gambling, I also grabbed a Dratini, which I called Cinnamon. As such, say hello to our final team member, Cinnamon the Dragonite.
Hell yeah.
We now assembled what I hope is the perfect squad. Blueberry, Ice Cream, Lemon, Banana, Curry, and Cinnamon. What a team. Let's do this. Let's begin our fight of the Elite Four, the strongest trainers in this game. We start out by sending out Lemon, who hopefully can take out Lorelei's Dugong with a Thunderbolt. It doesn't quite kill in one hit, but you know what? That's actually a good thing, because this baits out a healing item from her, which she then uses on her goofy little guy instead of one of her tougher Pokemon. The Surf didn't do too much, Lemon is still at 110, so we're good to just use 2 more Thunderbolts and hopefully finish this thing. Lemon then faces off against her Cloister, which uses Protect as I use Light Screen, which is just perfect. A follow-up Thunderbolt defeats it, and out comes Lorelei's Slowbro. I didn't expect the following at all, but another Thunderbolt kills it in one shot as well. I take it. The one-shotting streak ends at her Lapras, which gets off a Body Slam in between our Thunderbolts, which does sizable damage, but go down it does regardless, thus bringing out her next Pokemon. Jinx. Good lord, this thing's annoying. It's female and uses its charm to attract our Snorlax, who she then also puts to sleep with Lovely Kiss. Afterwards, she spammed fairly weak Ice Punches, but Curry still went down too low to stay in after getting a Toxic off. But getting there took a very long time. As I said, I swapped to Ice Cream the Lapras. It barely took any damage from Ice Punch, as it is a Water-Ice type. Lorelei used another full restore on Jinx, whereas I used Body Slam. The Body Slam did over half, which is great, but then Lapras also fell asleep thanks to a Lovely Kiss. I was already afraid of also getting attracted and taking yet another billion years just to get this thing down, because it doesn't really do damage to Lapras, but it wakes up, and now we're on to Bruno. We've defeated Lorelei. Bruno has no friends, and thus still uses Onix instead of Steelix. This is great, because Cinnamon can take care of it and any other fighting types that he then uses. That's my thinking, at least for starting with him. I start out with an Earthquake, which one-shots the Onix. Onix is just a bad Pokemon, but we do get a crit, I don't know if that mattered, and out comes the Hitmonchan. Sadly, I wasn't certain whether this thing had something like Ice Punch, so I swapped to Blueberry, who was certain could just tank it and outdamage the Hitmonchan in a fight. That was actually a smart move, not for the reason that I thought, because he used Rock Tomb, which would have done 2 times damage at the very least. Blueberry then used Protect to scout out whether his Hitmonchan has Thunder Punch, which it doesn't, and instead goes for a Sky Uppercut, which is far less intimidating. We then use a Hydro Cannon, hoping that it just completely annihilates this thing. Sky Uppercut does nothing, but Hydro Cannon also misses. It goes for another Sky Uppercut, which slowly but steadily gets Blueberry into the yellow, and Hitmonchan gets damaged by almost everything. He goes for a full restore, we have to restore our turn, and basically nothing happens, so that's an issue. I go for another Protect, thinking that maybe I could bait some other attack, and think to myself, okay, it's time to swap out, let's just bring in Banana and use Psychic. Let's be real, that should have been the strat from the very start. The Hitmonchan lands another Sky Uppercut, which does almost nothing, and we go for a Psychic, which does massive damage to the Hitmonchan. But it doesn't one-shot it, so that is kind of an issue. The Hitmonchan goes for Rock Tomb. Yeah, now we're slower. That's annoying for any further Pokemon that he sends in, but we can still just pivot if that becomes an issue, so I just go for Reflect to reduce the physical damage that Bruno would deal with any further Pokemon, and think to myself, Banana could from then on probably just take his entire team, right? We click another Psychic, he goes for another Sky Uppercut, and down goes the Hitmonchan. Banana, however, is at 82, which isn't a lot of health, especially on an Elite 4 battle where a crit can mean the difference between life and death. I got cocky though, once again, and went for a Psychic, and the Brick Break shattered our Reflect, which isn't great. The Hitmonlee takes tremendous amounts of damage, but once again, we don't one-shot. Seriously, what the hell is going on with these near misses? Speaking of near miss, the Mega Kick does miss, and the Psychic kills the Hitmonlee. If that would have connected, I think Banana would have been dead. So I don't want to risk any more deaths and swap to Ice Cream for the Onix. It uses Earthquake, that should do almost nothing because Onix is a terrible Pokemon. Ice Cream goes for Ice Beam, which then kills the Steel Snake. Why does he have 2 of these? Oh well. There's one more Pokemon, which is Machamp. Machamp's definitely not something Ice Cream should handle at this point, so I swap to Cinnamon, whose Wing Attack should win the day. And well, swapping into a Cross Chop was definitely a good call, but my line of thinking wasn't perfect. Once again, Wing Attack doesn't kill, because nothing one-shots in this, and we get Rock Tombed, which doesn't just do decent damage, it also slows us. But by doing very basic arithmetics, we can tell that even double the damage would not kill us, so a crit doesn't matter. We just go for another Wing Attack, and Bruno goes down. This is going insanely well, not a single death yet. Are we going to do this entire lead for Deathless? Oh my god, that'd be so hype. Whew. Okay, let's stay calm, heal up, and go for Agatha. She's notorious for using annoying status moves and confusion, which is why I sent in Cinnamon first. You might be thinking, maybe you should just go with Curry or Banana or whatever. No, I wanted to use Safeguard. Safeguard covers us from status moves. I thought I was super smart for doing that, but this Gengar just goes for Shadow Punch, so that kinda didn't matter. I then brain farted and forgot that Levitate is an ability that exists and is on Gengar, so my Earthquake does nothing. And I then brain farted again, thinking that I should use Dragon Claw, thinking it would be a physical attack. It is not. In this generation, Dragon is special. Pretty sure Wing Attack would have killed here, but Gengar now goes for Double Team. Oh joy, the evasive strats begin again. I try my luck with another Dragon Claw. I miss. Gengar uses Shadow Punch. We slowly go down a bit, but the next Dragon Claw connects, and out comes the Golbat. I go for another Safeguard just to be sure, and oh, it actually did something. The thing wanted to go for Confuse Ray. Great. We go for Dragon Claw. It goes for another Confuse Ray. Huh, okay, Golbat, didn't you get the memo? I safeguarded. Man, the AI in these games is really stupid. You know what else is really stupid? Intimidate. What an annoying ability. Jesus Christ, the Arbok has Intimidate. It is not a strong Pokemon, so I thought to myself, I might as well just use Earthquake again and see if that kills. Otherwise, what is the worst that could happen? Use Poison-type attacks? Oh, I'm so afraid. And yeah, it went for a Sludge Bomb, and that actually did pretty sizable amounts of damage. We're now in the yellow. Oh well, Agatha goes for Hair first. Full Restore, which is great, because that means we can just bait these out by attacking the Arbok. Our party is no longer safeguarded, doesn't really matter. The next Earthquake finishes the job, and now the Arbok is down. So far, this is going insanely well. Well, it was until we got to this thing. This is Agatha's Ace Gengar. It knows Hypnosis and will make use of it very frequently, opting to use it anytime your Pokemon are awake. Add the fact that I'm pretty sure AI trainers have a higher chance to hit with their moves, and you run into an issue. Cinnamon is now asleep. We then swap to Curry. I realized that, I should probably use Protect to bait out the Hypnosis, which works, and then just use a Toxic, right? Well, first up, you can't Toxic a Poison Pokemon. I'm really stupid at these things, I swear. And also, it got put to sleep anyway. We can't attack. So, I try my best to swap to Ice Cream, which is put to sleep again. Oh my god. Half my team is now asleep. I swap, trying to buy it out in a Nightmare, but it just keeps sludge bombing, slowly killing my team. This is not going well at all. It also lands a Nightmare on Ice Cream when I tried to actually attack for once, so I needed to swap to yet another Pokemon. I swap to Blueberry, get hit by a Sludge Bomb, try to Protect, bait the Hypnosis, another Hypnosis just straight up hits. Oh my god, now 4 out of 6 of my Pokemon are put to sleep. I then swap to Banana, and thank Lord it goes for Sludge Bomb and not another ability that it has, which it definitely does have, because it has freaking Shadow Ball. It goes for Hypnosis, not knowing that my Banana has Insomnia, and oh my god, the Psychic connects. Okay, this is probably just gonna kill... No. No, it didn't kill. Oh no, the Hypnosis isn't gonna be an issue, but the Shadow Ball for sure is. I thought to myself that it was gonna go for another Hypnosis. I didn't know that it had Shadow Ball, it hadn't used it up to this point, and I don't look up movesets, so I went for a Calm Mind. Which is useless because we're slower. Banana is dead. I need to swap to another Pokemon at this point. I need to swap to Curry, bait out the Shadow Ball, and oh god, it's all falling apart. Oh no. Okay, so I baited the Shadow Ball successfully. I get hit with a Sludge Bomb, and now what do? If I just swap back into Banana, nothing happens. I need to swap into Lemon, I need to be faster, I need to hit a Thunderbolt and win. The problem with that idea is that the Sludge Bomb does over half because we get crit. We now need to pray that we're faster. We're not. The Sludge Bomb connects, Lemon dies. Our first team member is down, the rest of our team is asleep or one hit away from dying. This is dire. I look through my stats window to see who my fastest Pokemon is, and Lemon is only 3 stat points slower than our Dragonite. So I just send out Banana again, hoping that something happens. Maybe it just goes for another Hypnosis. Of course it doesn't. It goes for a Shadow Ball. Banana dies. I send out Blueberry, he gets Nightmared. I try to go for a Surf, it gets Shadow Balled. We send out Ice Cream, he gets Nightmared, but... Oh, Ice Cream woke up. The Ice Beam connected, killing the Gengar. And you know what the saddest part about all this is? The next Pokemon's a Haunter that can do nothing. Seriously, this thing is just a free kill. We'll just Ice Beam it and it's going to die, right? Oh no. Wait, Curse? We have a chance! We have a very silly chance. Okay, we survive with 3 Pokemon. But, as Malorak puts it, the best when he says,
I thought that was a wipe. I'll be real. I thought I was dead.
And so, half of our team gone. As if none of our adventures ever mattered. Our starter had been with us all along. How would we ever beat the champion, or let alone Lance, who now stood in front of us? But no, this is no time for caution, and this is no time for sentimentality. Let's just try our best. It's what Blueberry and the others would have wanted. Let's fight Lance, the Dragon Trainer. Lance starts out with a Gyarados, which I anticipated. Ice Cream had been taught Shockwave just before this fight so that I could hopefully one-shot it. Intimidate literally doesn't matter. It goes for a Bite, which hopefully doesn't flinch us, please? Okay, yeah, it doesn't. Cool. The Shockwave lands, because it always lands, it can't miss. And the Shockwave doesn't freaking kill. Of course it doesn't. Ugh, okay. Honestly, that is pretty great, because that just means that he won't use his full restores on his freaking Dragonite. So, we just Shockwave again, and the Gyarados goes down. Next is the Aerodactyl, which starts with an Ancient Power, and oh joy! It got an Omni Boost. And guess what? Said Omni Boost matters because it barely survives a Surf. Great. I swap to Curry, who tanks a Hyper Beam, and I use Toxic, hoping to just safely stall it to death over time. This does work out just fine, but man, was it scary, as the next Ancient Power almost put Curry in the red, and I'm pretty sure that a crit would have killed it. We then come face to face with his Dragonite. If our Ice Cream was looking healthier, this would be a fantastic time for an Ice Beam. But as it stands, that'll be rough to land, so we stay in with Curry. I try to go for a Protect, which does work. Dragonite goes for Wing Attack. That doesn't do any damage. We heal a bit with our leftovers, which is just great. I try to go for a Toxic, but man, the Dragonite actually does pretty good damage, and it's safeguarded. Why did I forget about that? Oh my god. I go for another Protect, trying to just heal myself a bit again, which of course works because we've had a turn in between Protects, and then I try to go for a Strength. The next Wing Attack does a lot of damage. Our Strength barely does third? I think that's a third. Man, we really should have swapped at this point, but I didn't, and we got hit by a Hyper Beam, killing Curry. We are now down to 2 Pokemon. This does, however, mean that we get a safe switch into Ice Cream, which is kind of perfect for killing the Dragon Knight. But not having Curry is gonna make the final fight insanely hard. The rest of his Dragonair just go down to Ice Beams by Ice Cream. They are not worth talking about. We beat Lance, but I don't think that we're going to beat the champion at this point. We only have Cinnamon and Ice Cream left. The rest of our friends are all dead. And here we come face to face with the realization that Dingus is the champion. That silly boy that we've been bullying and beating up all along this journey is the champion. And here we are with only 2 Pokemon after making fun of him over and over. Is this what karma feels like? Getting so close only to then fail. But no, wait, we haven't failed yet. Why am I giving up? The guys wouldn't have wanted me to give up. Ice Cream, I choose you. Go for an Ice Beam. Let's try our best. Pidgeot uses an Aerial Ace, which doesn't really do a lot. Ice Cream lands an Ice Beam, and at this point I really noticed how much that rhymes. Pidgeot goes down to like 1 health, which is great because that just means we get a free full restore bait. At this point it's just tradition, I swear. And that does mean that we're probably going to kill the Pidgeot at some point, right? Let's see. Okay, the next Ice Beam also almost kills it. Nope, wait, it was a range. Yes, the Ice Beam kills. Perfect. Next up comes a Rhydon, and Rhydon is a terrible Pokemon to use against a Lapras. I don't know why you chose that next. We Surf and it dies. And next up, we are face to face with a Venusaur. Now my thinking is, Ice Beam is probably just gonna do a ton of damage, right? So I go for it, hoping that it doesn't have any good Grass-type moves. And it doesn't use a great Grass-type moves, it uses Solar Beam. Now at this point, a smart trainer would have pivoted to Cinnamon, which then would have barely taken any damage, and then take out the Venusaur with Wing Attack. I am not a clever person. I thought because it used Solar Beam and it went second, it was slower. But then Solar Beam goes first, so Ice Cream goes down to 6. Oops. Yeah, this is not looking great. Venusaur does go down, which means we've actually killed 3 Pokemon, which is great. I didn't expect to get that far, but now there's an Alakazam. And we're pretty much shit out of luck. This thing is going to be faster, it's crazy fast. The Psychic kills Ice Cream. And now what is Cinnamon supposed to do against an Alakazam? I'm pretty sure it's faster. We send it out regardless, and we go for a Dragon Claw. I once again thought that Dragon-type moves are physical moves in this generation. I'm stupid, because an Earthquake or Wing Attack would have surely killed it. The Dragon Claw, however, does not. So we need to use a second Dragon Claw. Psychic goes once again. It doesn't kill Cinnamon, but it puts it into very low health, pretty much a quarter at this point. Alakazam does go down, which is a good thing, but once again, we're still face to face with 2 more Pokemon, one of which is a Gyarados. You know, the fish Pokemon that I bullied over and over. Yeah, this is probably going to be the Pokemon that kills us. Well, isn't that ironic, huh? We kept making fun of you, we kept making fun of your Pokemon, and now we're here. Gyarados gets hit by a Dragon Claw, but it barely does a quarter. Thrash hits Cinnamon. And we live? Okay, maybe with some type of miracle, we can kinda make it out of here. But no. No, there are no miracles here. This is the end. I hit another Dragon Claw. But honestly, I knew at this point that it was over. Past Malorak put it best when he said the following. For my first attempt, that was pretty dang good, I'd say. Losing to the champion's last 2 Pokemon? I'm pretty happy, not gonna lie. But I am also kinda mad! Come on, why did they get a crit, Agatha?